Yeah.
Welcome to Zoom into Interfaith, the monthly program of Interfaith Partners of South Carolina. And I want to welcome our guest tonight. Falguni Sharma has been practicing Rajayoga for more than 15 years. She was born in India, then lived in Hong Kong for 15 years, where she was introduced to Rajayoga practices, then moved to South Carolina in 2020, and she was the recent co-organizer of the wildly successful Interfaith Youth Panel in Rock Hill that was held for Interfaith Harmony Month. Welcome, Falguni.
Thank you.
And Al Black, I think some of you know, he's been part of the Baha'i religion since 1972. But many of you will know Al as a poet who's hosted over 1,000 poetry music events in the Midlands of South Carolina since 2010. He's the author of two books of poetry, I Only Left for Tea and Man with Two Shadows. He's edited and co-edited others and was the 2017 Jasper Literary Artist of the Year. So welcome. And I want to ask our guests to please start by just spend a few minutes telling us about your spiritual path and how we can better understand it. Falguni, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Holly, for such a beautiful introduction. And uh, about Brahma Kumaris, I'm here to introduce the practice that we do is a Raja Yoga meditation. So, when I say yoga, it is not a yoga that is physical yoga. And so, there is nothing physical yoga. We don't talk about any postures or anything, but the yoga means, if I translate, it is a connection. Yoga is a connection. So, Raja means like we in the process of this yoga, mind connection to the source. So we create the awareness of being a soul. So soul is a separate than the body, and uh, something that try to go beyond the physical world, and which is non-visible, non-physical. So when we have that awareness, and then only we can connect to the source, which is supreme source. So yoga is the connection with the supreme. And this meditation practice is creating awareness. So we all live in the family, do everything that we are supposed to do, but then creating awareness and bringing that awareness in our day-to-day practices. We understand that God is someone that is not something that we cannot reach, but we create a relationship with God by having a deep connection. And in order to connect to the God, uh, we have to raise our awareness from this physical world. So it is a constant practice, discovery of the self, and along with the discovery of the self, it is we call it as a study. So study of self, and which gets more deeper as we go further, discover ourselves. So, and also we brings in the aspect of karma philosophy, that how we can perform karma and understand the karma in a better way, how it is explained by the Supreme, and practice that in order to elevate our soul conscious awareness and be as pure. Then about eternity and immortality, that the soul is separate from the body. So body is not eternal. It is not immortal. Body dies. So how about the soul? Then soul is immortal. So understanding the journey of soul, how it is immortal, when it was started the journey and where the soul is now. So there are so many different deep aspect of soul and its existence. And that is a part of our spiritual journey and awareness that we practice. And this is open to everyone, all culture, all walks of life. And we have this organization is established in 1936. So it's been 90 years now, and we have centers all over the world, more than 110 countries, and mm, we have people practicing Raja Yoga. And this is not any religion, but we say it's a religion of the soul. So, which is not religion of any physical body, no physical identity, who I am, what I belong to, what is my physical religion, what is my gender, nationality, profession, race, color, nothing. It's just soul conscious. So my original religion is soul, and we try to establish our daily practices with the awareness of soul. So yeah, thank
Could
you,
I ask
Ollie.
you a question?
Yeah, sure, please.
Is there a group where you live? Do you come together for group practice, or is it all individual, solitary?
Yes, we have the group actually. So we have a group now after COVID. We all connect online. As I have mentioned that it is in more than 110 countries. So we practice our Raja Yoga in a group in every country, every culture. So here I have a group in South Carolina where I live, and we whoever is interested, they come, and they want to know more about the Raja Yoga and want to practice, they come, get introduced, and they practice. uh, Another part of our regular practices, we have the spiritual studies that we connect for every morning. So that's the regular practice. So we get the guidance and the spiritual direction for the day. And we connect every morning for the study, and that is non-negotiable every day. So on a group we connect, like online we connect, and whoever is able to come in person, they do come in person and do the spiritual study with us.
And your this group path is called
Mhm.
Brahma Kumaris,
Yes,
and
Brahma Kumaris.
Brahma Kumaris, and perhaps you'd like to put the URL for the website in the chat box in case anybody wants to learn more.
Yeah, this is a good suggestion. And Brahma Kumaris also, I would like to just add one line that Kumaris is the translation of daughters. So this is the world's biggest and the only one spiritual organization led by the women leaders.
Hmm.
So we just had only women leaders, but it is for men and women. Anyone can be part of this organization. But on the administrative level, the leaders has always been female from the time of establishment.
Okay.
So just to give little introduction.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. And everybody, think about what questions or comments you might like to contribute, and you can put those in the chat. We'll come back to them in a few minutes. At this time, I'd like to bring in Al Black. Let's see.
Okay. So
Yes. Um,
There we go.
as she said, I'm a Baha'i. Um, I would like to say what I'm saying about Baha'i is my study and my understanding of Baha'i, and it isn't gospel.
Sure.
Um, unless I'm quoting the writings of Baha'u'llah or Abdul Baha Shoghi Effendi. It is my opinion from my study of the faith. Baha'is have no clergy. We annually elect our governing bodies locally and nationally. On the international level, we elect our international body every 5 years. Baha'is are one of the newest religions on the religion, the horizon of religion. The Bab, who was the forerunner of Baha'u'llah, who had his own separate mission for 6 years, declared in 1844, and Baha'u'llah, which means glory of God, declared himself in 1863 officially, and passed away, still a prisoner, in exile in Akka, Israel, a prisoner of the Ottoman Empire for religious reasons, in 1892. Baha'is, as I said, we elect a governing our administrative bodies, and no one individual has any power over any other individual within the community. We are encouraged within the writings of the faith to accept on administrative issues, the decision of the elected body. But there's no sanctions on that. People, often have strong opinions. But Baha'is believe that this is the religion for today. That religion throughout time has had spiritual teachings and social teachings, and at different times in different places, we believe that God, or as Baha'is believe, the unknowable essence. It's not anthropomorphic. Periodically, a prophet is given. You don't sit somewhere and decide you're going to be a prophet. But that today's message is a message of unity and world unity, whereas in the past, messages have been for the individual or for the family or the tribe or the city-state or nationhood. But now is a time for the unity of all humanity. And those are the teachings that Baha'u'llah brought on a social level. And we believe that Baha'u'llah said there will be more prophets after him, but not for 1,000 years. That this message is for 1,000 years, and at some point there'll be a time for humanity to take the next step forward. What that is, I don't know. And I'm not even going to do conjecture on that because it's my own fantasy. But Baha'is, some of the things that Baha'is believe that in early times, especially in Islamic countries of last century, caused them to be persecuted is, one, there's no clergy, which doesn't make clergy very happy, but also the equality of men and women. In other words, we're not a patriarchal faith. And that flies in the face of not just Islam, but if you think last century, women didn't have the right to vote and were one step above chattel in the West, and other places. But we also believe in the harmony of science and religion, that science must be guided by spiritual principles and moral principles, but that, and I'm paraphrasing, science without moral guidance can become a Frankenstein monster, and religion without the guidance of science can become superstition. And there are many other basic teachings of the faith, such as Baha'is believe there should be a world auxiliary language so that people can communicate one with the other without going through translations and everything. What that language is to be decided by a world polity, not by Baha'is, not by the strength or power of an individual government or economic concerns. And I can go on and on with a number of teachings, but I encourage folks to if you're interested in knowing more, there is a website called Baha'i.org, BAHAI.org. And there you can begin to find out more, and also you can it will guide you to other places to look. There, you probably have worked with Baha'is or know Baha'is and didn't realize they're Baha'is, because a lot of times Baha'is don't. We're encouraged not to proselytize, and that it's important to the way in which you share your faith is how you live, not by what you say. In fact, Baha'u'llah says a tree that bears no fruit is fit for the fire, and that he also says, let deeds, not words, be your adorning. So you've probably known Baha'is, and didn't realize. You might have had them as a school teacher, you might have had them as a doctor, you might have had them as a coworker or somebody you talked with casually at a coffee shop, because Baha'is are very widespread. We are told that we are the second widest distributed faith in the world, because Baha'is are encouraged to go where there aren't other Baha'is. And in so doing, we encourage folks to find the truth for themselves, that you should not see the world with someone else's eyes, but see it with your own. And that is very important and fundamental within the faith. I'm always willing to sit over coffee or on email or however, and share more intimately what my faith is and what is the faith of many other people who claim to be Baha'i. But I think that is a good synopsis and a good starting point. And I hope I didn't talk too long.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Thanks. So Baha'is are monotheistic, and you have
Yes,
some sacred texts by Baha'u'llah.
by Baha'u'llah. And in his will and testament, he appointed his eldest son, Abdul Baha, which means servant of Baha, uh, to be able to elucidate on his teachings. He couldn't have new teachings of his own, but he could answer questions or elucidate on the writings of Baha'u'llah. Also, the writings of the Bab, who was the forerunner of Baha'u'llah, who had his own sacred text, which was called the Bayan, Bayan. And so Baha'is have many prayers and many tablets and books by Baha'u'llah, the Bab, Abdul Baha. Also, so you understand, Baha'is don't believe any prophet is above any other prophet or manifestation of God, as we like to say, that the divine manifestations of God are all equal. It's just one is more relevant. Their social teachings are more relevant for today. But as our friend before me said, we are spiritual creatures, and we only have a physical body for a short time, and that the purpose of this life is to prepare ourselves spiritually for the next life. And just as when you're in the womb, if you don't develop well, you may come into this world maybe with the unable to see or other problems. And the same is within the next life. If you don't pay attention to how to develop yourself spiritually, and that you are unprepared, or not as prepared, I should say, not as prepared as you could be for the next life. And the eternal life, the life that we're all going to be with for eternity. Baha'u'llah says that, the definition, it's the unknowable essence, you
Okay, and
know.
I also seem to recall that the word Bob is also a word for gate. Is that
Yes, the
right?
forerunner
I
of
like that.
Baha'u'llah, the Bab is called the Gate. That was a name he took. He was a descendant of Muhammad.
Oh,
Uh, and Baha'u'llah traces his lineage back to one of the later wives of Abraham, Keturah. I think that's the way you pronounce it.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and but but lineage and all that is a whole nother issue. The important thing is, how can we live in a diverse world in a united, peaceful way, you know, and how can we accept one another? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So, what I'm hearing from both of you is that um, the soul in our eternal life is extremely important, and that your faith or your spirituality are focused on developing that aspect, and each of you has specific practices. Falguni, are there particular meditations or chants or anything like that that people with Brahma Kumaris use?
Yes. So we do not actually have any particular chants or prayers, as we create a connection with the Supreme, with the eternal parent, because that relation is always there. I have to just connect and experience that relationship to go beyond from my physical awareness. So we have the regular meditation practice, like those who are regular Rajayoga practitioners. We practice early in the morning, 4 to 4:45. That is our regular meditation practice. So we experience deep silence and practice the bodiless experiences and soul conscious awareness. So this is the regular meditation practice. And during the day, as our schedule allows,
Mm.
we practice the silence for a few minutes and pause for a few minutes from our busy physical awareness, and practice that, go inside the silence and practice as and evening meditation. And we, for that, it is individual, so we do it as our own space and schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a meditation practice, and we have, as I mentioned, we have our retreat centers and meditation centers all over the world. Here in USA also we have retreat centers. So we conduct a silence retreat and meditation retreat, which is open for the public also. Whoever wants to come and experience silence, they can be part of those retreats, weekend retreats. So there we have a group meditation, collective meditation, and silence experiences. And
Okay.
in order to experience the silence, as one practice is the meditation spiritual. Our foundation for the meditation is the knowledge. And knowledge is a clarity, understanding about existence, about the soul journey, transformation from this old world to a new world. And so that knowledge we churn every morning, which is called as a sweet sound of flute, or we call it as a mother tongue of the soul, or a breath of the soul. And those versions are given to us by the Supreme. So there is no physical, like bodily being that we connect to, or we follow, but we follow only the one who is known as a eternal light, or a supreme or universal light, or we call it as a God, or the supreme source. So those versions that we study every morning. So this is
Okay.
our regular practice, meditation and the spiritual study. And uh, like on a regular basis, we practice. Yeah.
Cheryl asks, do children begin to meditate with you as they're growing
Yes.
up?
Yes, yes. So we practice as a part of the whole family. And as a children have there are certain disciplines, like they will not, if they want, they are welcome to get up at 4 o'clock, but not every children can do. So since we practice, we introduce to children, and if they are not able to practice the way the adults do, but they are still able to follow the learnings and practice and experience wherever they are and however they are able to do. So they
Okay,
do also join. Yeah.
thank you. And Al, I know I've heard some beautiful Baha'i music and prayers, so I know that you all have some things that are already recorded that you can draw from. Am I right?
We are cautioned to not create a dogma or tradition. We have the writings of the founders of the faith,
Mm-hmm.
and there may be individuals who have been inspired by the Baha'i writings to do music, but that is not official Baha'i music.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are many prayers. Baha'is are encouraged to pray and meditate every day. There is no formal way of meditation. We're told to choose our own method from what the world's full of different methods, and that we should pray and meditate, and from that we come to in our meditation, we should act. It's many people know things, but they don't act on it. There's what you can call knowledge, volition, and action.
Mm-hmm.
Baha'is do have some individual practices. Baha'is are encouraged, we have what's called the obligatory prayer that you say every day. And Baha'u'llah gave us three forms, and we can choose from. There is a short obligatory prayer that is said at noon, which is between midday and the sundown. There is the long obligatory prayer, which can be said anytime within 24 hours. And there's the middle length prayer, which needs to be said at certain times. And the within those, there may be certain movements and such. Such as one, you face the resting place of Baha'u'llah, um, and in the long obligatory prayer, in the middle length one, you may kneel or you may stand up and things like that. But you should wash your hands and face before you pray,
Mm-hmm.
and those are the requirements daily. That, and it's between you and God. We don't do congregational prayers. Somebody may read a prayer among a group, but the only congregational prayer is when you pass. There's what's called prayer for the dead that Baha'u'llah um, revealed, that is said at the time of interment of the body. But we are very careful not to create dogma or tradition, or to say this is the way a Baha'i, prays, or this is the way they meditate, or this is Baha'i music and this isn't Baha'i music. Uh, we believe that much of the world is influenced by many religions, and so there are folks that are inspired by the writings of Baha'u'llah that don't even know his name.
Mm-hmm.
So there are Baha'is that have recorded some of the writings of Baha'u'llah, or have come up with lyrics that are inspired by the teachings of Baha'u'llah, but it is not official Baha'i music. It
Okay.
is music that is inspired by the faith. Does
Okay.
does
Yeah,
that make
that
sense
makes
to you?
sense. It does. It
Okay.
does. We've got another question. I believe that Chris asks this of Falguni, I believe. I've read there are 4 yoga paths in Hindu tradition. Can you describe how the Raja path differs from the other 3? And Nikki has something following on from that. What writings do you use for your spiritual studies? What country did the religion originate?
These both questions are almost connected with each other. So when I answer one, it will be the next one will be uh, answered. So this country, the Brahma Kumaris, the it was founded in 1936 in the country in India. It was on the border of India and Pakistan at that time. So there was a founder who had many realizations by the Supreme. And so it is originally established in India. But in 1975, we started sharing this knowledge outside India. So our head office is in India, but international office is in UK, London. So it is everywhere, all over the world right now. And so since being from India, there are India is uh, different yoga practices. They is practiced in India, ancient yoga culture. So some of the practice they call as a hatha yoga. Hatha yoga means like, you forcefully set yourself into one posture and stay in that posture for a long time. And that is one kind of a yoga, hatha yoga. And so that's a physical yoga again. And there is another kind of a yoga that is a breathing yoga. So some people do breathing, so they count their breathing, and it helps with the concentration and the purification of the body. So this is a breathing yoga. And there is another kind of a yoga, which is a yoga for the concentration. And so they just try to go in silence. So this kind, and another one is the physical yoga, like Surya Namaskar and the different poses of physical flexibility. So these yogas are the yoga that is for the physical. And the Raja Yoga is known as the ancient Raja Yoga practices, which is connection, yoga connection to the Supreme. So this is how we differentiate that the yoga for the physical and the Raja Yoga, we go beyond the physical attractions and physical awareness and physical pull. And so Raja Yoga is this. And then when we go beyond the physical awareness, so the soul becomes master. So our experiences do not rely on the senses or the supersensuous. Joy comes from the souls being connected to the Supreme. Uh,
Do you
so
have writings that your teachings come from?
Yes, so we have a writings which we call as a murli, or as I have earlier have mentioned that this murli is the versions from the Supreme Soul, and this writings it is not written in any books or available for anyone to read. But in order to understand those writings, one needs to establish a foundation, a basic understanding of the Raja Yoga knowledge. So, whoever wants to understand these writings, we have to introduce them the basic foundation of soul, supreme soul, karma philosophy, eternity, immortality of the soul. So, when we create the foundation, establish the knowledge, then it is easy for someone to understand the writings of the Brahma Kumaris. So, and we do not call it as a writing or the prayers, but we call it as a spiritual study. And since it is a study, we have to go subtle from the physical awareness. So when we go subtle, it is a still discovery about ourselves. So in some of the countries, Brahma Kumaris is also known as the spiritual university. Uh, and why it's called spiritual university? Because it's a study for us. So rather than spiritual scriptures, we will call it as a spiritual study of oneself.
Thank you. Al, you mentioned that Baha'u'llah was imprisoned in Akka.
Yes.
Yeah, but this Baha'i actually originated in what's now Iran, is that right?
Baha'u'llah was born into a noble family. His father was one of the ministers of the Shah.
In Iran.
And in Iran, and he was very wealthy family. But when he became a Babi, that wasn't acceptable. And then when he declared himself to be Baha'u'llah, to be the promised one of all faiths for the new age, he was exiled first of all from Iran to Baghdad, and from there people kept flocking to see him. And at that time he was still a Babi, but a well-known Babi. He even left for 2 years to the mountains to not be a cause of distraction. But eventually, the Iranian government, who had exiled him to Baghdad, which was part of the Ottoman Empire, put pressure on the Ottoman Empire to exile him farther. So he was, by military escort, he was then in captivity. He was in Constantinople, and then because people continued to follow him there, he was exiled into Europe, Adrianople and Durne, Edirne, I think is how it's spelled. And that didn't work either. So he was then put on a boat and eventually ended up in the prison city of Akka, which is across the bay from Haifa. And he remained officially a prisoner until his passing in 1892. However, in the last few years of his life, the governor of that area, of the city of Akka and that prison area, begged Baha'u'llah to leave the prison city because he said, you've done no wrong, and how can I? He admired Baha'u'llah. And so Baha'u'llah, for the last few years of his life, actually lived in a house about 10 kilometers outside of Akka, which is called Baji. And when he passed, he was buried there. And that's where Baha'is turn to in prayer. But he didn't choose to be in Akka to fulfill any prophecies of the Adamic cycle. He didn't try to be in Constantinople or Adrianople or Baghdad. Those were all exiles and imprisonments. So that's how he ended up in Akka. Across the bay was Haifa, which was a small little community on the what's at the base of Mount Carmel at the time. And he was, because he was given freedom from the city, he did I think 3 times come across the bay to Haifa, to Mount Carmel, and he actually pointed out to his eldest son Abdul Baha, this is where you build the shrine of the Bab, and that is where the World Center is in Haifa. But Baha'u'llah's burial place is outside of the city of Akka, but he was officially a prisoner of Akka up until his passing in 1892.
The reason I brought that up is because I thought that it might be important for us all to know that it's very dangerous, if not impossible, to be openly Baha'i in Iran, at least,
In a
anymore.
number
And
of
there are
countries, we're
political.
encouraged to be
I'm sorry,
quiet
what?
about our faith. There's some more repressive Islamic countries that it's not cool, and there are other places where Baha'is don't elect administrative bodies because it is not for us to become in conflict with the government. Like in China, there are Baha'is, but we don't elect our administrative bodies so that we're not in conflict with the government. It's very interesting that the country with the most Baha'is now is India.
Hmm.
The most Baha'is reside in India. Those that have been to India, or if you, as our friend here, there is a Baha'i temple uh, built outside Delhi. And it's a lotus temple. The lotus temple is a Baha'i temple.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. I know Lotus Temple. Yeah, good that you
yes.
mentioned. I will visit that next time.
Oh, wonderful. But we have, continental. Yeah, we're told that eventually there'll be Baha'i temples in every location. But at this time, primarily, we have continental temples. Although in Kenya, and I think one other location, they've been allowed to build a local temple because of the number of Baha'is and the need for it there. But we have a continental temple in Chicago, outside Chicago, in Wilmette. We have one in Chile. We have one in Panama. There's one on the Samoan island of Samoa. The king of Samoa had declared himself a Baha'i. He's passed since then. Um, there is one in Germany. I'm probably forgetting one. There was one at one
Australia.
time. Yeah, Australia, Sydney. There was one in
Congo.
the first Baha'i temple was built in what is now part of which was eventually part of the Soviet Union and was destroyed in an earthquake. Um, and maybe someday it'll be rebuilt, but it has not been rebuilt even with the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Al,
Um,
is if someone wanted to visit a Baha'i service or gathering, is there something in South Carolina that you could direct people to?
well, there are. First of all, Baha'is are encouraged to teach the faith, and a number of Baha'is will open their home for what is called firesides, where they'll talk about the faith or answer questions. There's also a study of called Rui classes which focus on different aspects of living a spiritual life, such as prayer and such as whether it's family life or being a junior youth or being a child or
So, how
there.
could somebody find out about something and attend?
Well, and so Baha'is have 9 holy days, and those are open to the public. Uh, but I would encourage, you can ask myself or any of the Baha'is that happen to be here, or any of the Baha'is you may know. They would probably gladly sit down and talk to you about the faith, or share prayers with you. Carol and I, at least once a month, have what we call a devotional at our house, where we invite. My community is primarily artists and poets, but other people come as well. Our neighbors sometimes come, but where we encourage people to come and share a prayer or something of a quote, a poem, a song that's important to them, because we believe, and I think many people believe, that a community or a neighborhood that is tied together spiritually, whether the people are of diverse faiths or no faith or whatever, but that practice devotionally, whether prayers or meditations together, is a more united community. And in the end, becoming more united and becoming more spiritual is very important. So next Tuesday, a week from tonight, Carol and I will be opening our home for a devotional, and we're opening it at that time because Baha'is have a calendar of 19 months of 19 days ordained by the Bab. And we have a time called the intercalary days because there's usually 4 days or 5 if it's leap year days to fill out the solar calendar. And
So
those days
you've
are
got
the
something on Tuesday night that you're inviting people to. We've only got about 5 minutes left.
Okay. But those intercalary days are days of hospitality and the giving of gifts and doing service. So one of those days will be falling on next Tuesday. They all fall in a group before the last month of the year. And we encourage people to come and share what they're doing in their life, and a prayer or a meditation, or just sit and enjoy what other people bring. It'll be at 7:00 at our house. You can contact us. We'll give you our address. I could give it here. My wife can type it if she's in the chat. But it's open. If the weather's good, I'll actually put a fire out in our fire pit for anyone who wants to go out and sit by the fire and talk.
Nice.
But we've been doing those. We started those before COVID at our house. And of course, COVID kind of changed things. And I'm going to be quiet because I know other people need to speak before we end the night.
Well, and Carol has put the address. You're fine. Carol has the address in the chat box. Last question. I give you each about 60 seconds. What do you wish people understood about your faith? What do you wish they did not misunderstand? You want to start, Al? 60 seconds.
That the faith of God, or the unknowable essence, is an eternal faith that has gone on throughout all cultures and time. And that the Baha'i faith is just the next in a long succession of revelations, and that we are no better or no less than any other faith. We're just the most recent.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, for us actually, we being our foundation was in India, so many times we are misunderstood as being a Hindu religion, and so I wish just wanted to this is open. So this is there is no religion, but this is a spiritual practices that we follow, and we do enjoy no worship, but the study that becomes a part of our life, and then we practice it. We also believe that the humanity is on the verge of a depletion, and on a very depleted state at the moment, and this is a time where everyone needs a transformation, and the soul has to reset to its original state where the soul had started the journey. So the new world is going to come soon, and this is very important, that if everybody is able to understand that now the new world is going to come, new time is going to come, and the humanity is in a in the state that it is in, and the spiritual awareness, spiritual need to take care of one's original state of being is very, very important. So we call it as an auspicious time, important time, wherein we are bringing in transformation. And we believe that the transformation starts from your own self. So self-transformation and then world transformation.
Okay.
So, yeah. And I just wanted to answer one question about the books also. I think Nikki had asked. So for others, we have many books, like books written on different topics that we study. So books on karma, soul, supreme, the philosophy of Brahma, Kumaris, history. And those books are, if you want, I can get it and share it with you. And so these are the books available for everyone to understand and know more about Brahma Kumaris. But those are our spiritual script study that we do. For that, there is a uh, like it is different, like it's difficult to understand. So we have to establish understanding to be able to read those versions. So yeah, this is just to thank you.
Right, great. Well, any of that information that you want to share with everybody that you don't mind being public, please feel free to post on the listserv. That's a good place to share things. Excuse me. And there are a lot of people that would not have been able to be here tonight, but will be looking for this to watch it later. So I'm sure there will be others who are interested. I want to thank you both for being willing to share. And thank you, everybody who attended tonight. Any last words or questions before we call it a night? All right. Well, thank you, and hope to see everybody at next month's Zoom into Interfaith. All right. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
It was
Bye-bye.
wonderful to meet everyone.